Welcome to the Legendary Upside podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Pat Grain. You can follow all of my content at legendaryupside.com. With me today, Daniel Raz, Chris G, and Sacrilegious. We're going to talk through playoff best ball right now and draft a few teams. Hop in probably the mitten over on Underdog and show off the Sidekick, Legendary Upsides, Draft Companion, Dynamic Rankings tool. Guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. Can't complain. How's it going with you guys? Just excited to do some drafts and draft a lot of Detroit teams, apparently. That's what I'm like.
Going great. Had the tweet viral of all virals. Got almost 170,000 likes on a fake RFK to be – or no, it was the South Korean president to attempt
that was a good –
it was a very good –
that was a really good tweet.
The pressure after hitting a viral tweet to make the next tweet viral, it's worse than any academic pressure I've ever had. Like, my parents would probably hate me saying that. And then the tweet flopped, and now I'm back to, like, being ready to just fire them from the hip. So life's good, ready to rip some playoff best ball takes, talk about.
So you already tried the follow-up, but what was the follow-up?
It was, so the Georgia-Texas college football game announced that the Texas mascot Bevo wouldn't be allowed there because Bevo was too violent. So I did a free Bevo walkout type thing. Didn't land. Jacob Sanderson liked it, and there's like one other like complete flop. So I'll be better hand up.
I didn't see it. I would have liked it if I saw it, but I did very much enjoy your parlay slip that hit. People were saying you should have gotten higher odds for that. They were criticizing your fake bet.
Yeah, so I actually used just the Green Bay Detroit as a template with Sion Vaki and some other like super long touchdown score, and then inspected element.
Right.
So that's where the odds came from.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna talk through kind of the playoff best ball landscape right now. For people not super familiar with this format, we've on this channel we've kind of already covered some of the basics. Real quick, these are tournaments with 6 teams. They're 10 rounds. You draft 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. And you're building teams that have to score points in the 4th round. They get kind of whittled down, just like if you've done Best Ball Mania, anything like that. There's knockout rounds as you go. You get to the Super Bowl. That is the final round. Only 2 teams are actually playing any football, and you have to show up with those players. Otherwise, you're not going to score any points in the round. That determines all the big prizes. So trying to figure out how to construct these teams is pretty fun, in part because a lot of people tend to want to draft, as you would expect, good fantasy players and not necessarily tack on Noah Gray, as I'm about to do in the 10th round of one of these drafts, instead of taking, someone who scores a bunch of points like Mike Evans, right? But Mike Evans, very unlikely to be in the Super Bowl, and I've built a team that assumes the Chiefs will make the Super Bowl, so I'm continuing to make that bet. So it's a fun format where you can kind of use strategy and an understanding of the game to your advantage in a big way. Want to get your guys' kind of high-level picture right now on what teams you really like in these tournaments. Like, who's helping you construct builds that you think really are really strong in this first week of the kind of the main tournaments launching?
Yeah, right now I'm trying to get a lot of Lions, just as many Lions as I really can get. I have so much Jared Goff that one of my biggest fears is that, and I have a decent amount of Pat Mahomes with Lions as well. The thing I don't have a bunch of is Josh Allen with Lions. It's just harder if you're taking Josh Allen 101, oftentimes you're not going to have either of the Lions running backs that make it back to you. And so maybe you can get, just Jamison Williams, but typically you're forced to take at least James Cook there for your running back with Josh Allen. So you really can only get like one Lion with him. So I'm pretty interested in trying to get more Josh Allen with Lions running backs, which I think is going to be quite hard. But the way that I'm making all these Lions teams work is I'm hitting the Steelers pretty hard right now. Unfortunately, the cat seems to be out of the bag on that one. George Pickens is going earlier and earlier. Najee is starting to follow suit with him, but not as dramatically as Pickens. And because of that, now the Steelers certainly have pretty good conference championship odds. They're basically neck and neck with the Ravens. They're both sitting right about 29% to make the conference championship. But because those teams are becoming so much more preferred by the field, and they're steaming up a little bit, I'm going back to the well on some that are lower probability to make the conference championship, but they're much freer now. And one of them is a team that I complained about people steaming up earlier and taking too high, and that's Houston. I actually had a draft the other day where I took a Joe Mixon, Nico Collins skinny stack at the 7-8 turn. That was a price I was happy to pay for the Texans, who currently have about a 16% chance of appearing in the conference championship. The other one that is pretty good right now, I think, is Washington. You can get the frustrating thing about Washington is taking either Terry McLaurin or Jaden Daniels doesn't dissuade other people in the room from taking the other one of them. So that's one where I'm kind of happier to do that a little earlier than you might think. Like, it's like you don't really get the huge benefit of like getting to take that in the last round. Now, sometimes you can set yourself up to where you have other outs as your quarterback that's going to get you through the bye week, or your backup teams that are going to provide points in round one. So you really can push Washington, and then you have the luxury of taking whatever falls to you. But there are certain times where, like with the Bills and Chiefs, where they'll have guys that are available in the late rounds, like Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid go pretty late for the Bills to where you can just push them. For the Chiefs, Hollywood Brown used to go late. We're all trying to find the guy who made Hollywood Brown not go late anymore. And then the really, really gross one that people are not onto yet is Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. That's probably like the actual best one as far as like it is free. It is there every draft. So you can plan around it and know that your 9th and 10th round picks are Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix. And that has almost an 80% probability of the Broncos making the playoffs. And right now they have about a 12% conference championship probability. That'll obviously increase if they were to secure their spot in the playoffs once they clinch. So Broncos are like, if you want the one that's the hipster one that people aren't onto yet, it's the Broncos.
I saw Daniel, you light up there with the Bo Nix.
Yeah, anytime we can get the gross quarterback to pass catcher combo, like is the Flacco of this year, is it Bo Nix? Is it Russell Wilson? These are the questions I debate in classes. My professors ask me to stop talking. So for as long as Bo Nix is affordable and you can get it correlated, that's such a nice way when you're confident you're playing for a team with the bye week, as long as you're not eliminating the conference championship probability. So love that. Chris was going to bring up the Seahawks and Cardinals. That division's pretty open. The conference championship probabilities are lower there, but you're probably getting a relatively nice round one matchup if you really have your bye week team set and are also considering just teams that you're banking for points and want to be early on to just getting a massive block if need be. So a lot of good options in the streets.
Yeah, the NFC West is an easy spot to pick for some really good points. They're consolidated offenses. They really just have James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, easy 3-stack for one of your other teams. You got KW3, DK, and JSN right there for you. But I was going to actually talk a little bit about the quarterback situation. Like, as you guys know, I like try to push quarterback as long as I can, and you can't do it in these draft rooms. Everyone is sick. It just sickens me every round. By round 2, the only guy left on the board is Mahomes. Yeah, barely sometimes. So I like my first favorite pick is Josh Allen right now because
that's
like said, yeah, Josh Allen is a great pick, and if you get him like 3rd overall, it's amazing because then you're guaranteed to get David Montgomery. Sometimes maybe James Cook will fall to you, but it's usually you're picking between Jameson or start building out your Buffalo stack. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think with that maybe we jump into draft because that's one of the kind of defining features right now is the quarterback stuff, and we're working on some updates to the Sidekick that the version I have right here will have in it, and that hopefully by the time you're watching will be part of the regular version that everyone who's signed up for it has. One of them is that if you're in the 101, you'll see Josh Allen because it's tough. It's like there's an argument for taking Saquon for sure. There's an argument for taking like Amon-Ra, maybe even Gibbs, but Allen is like, I think, the safest way to play it. Daniel and Chris, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, drafting the Lions early is just begging the room to spare you. And sometimes they will. And then if you're able to go like Amon-Ra, running back, Goff, you feel so nice. And then you're just building out self-preservation mode round 1 to get through and get your Lions live after the presumable bye week. But there are so many ways that you just burn your first and possible second round picks. Like the odds of this team is the Lions group you need is pretty low, so it's leaving yourself to the whims of the room. So if you do,
because what can happen is you go with like a Lion, especially if you do like Amon-Ra and Montgomery, but then you locked out a quarterback in the 3rd round, and then you end up going like Jordan Love or Sam Darnold and stacking up those teams, and those teams are attractive because you can get Josh Jacobs, you can get plenty of receivers on the Packers. Jordan Love covers the quarterback that you need. Vikings, very similar. Jefferson, Aaron Jones, right? They both cover bye week stuff for your Lions, and then you don't have a quarterback yet. But they both can't make the Super Bowl, obviously. And so you're like, well, great. Now the first 2 picks I spent, Amon-Ra and Montgomery, are getting knocked out before the final round. I'm like, this is fundamentally a weaker team than it really feels like it should be. Now, if you do have a Vikings Super Bowl, you'll probably be okay, but that also is thin. So you're it's just like a tough spot that you find yourself in quickly, where you spend a lot of capital and then you're betting against that capital right away.
Yeah, that's a really fair point too, because I'm looking at it too. Like when you take Josh Allen first, you get David Montgomery on the back end, you get a Green Bay like a Josh Jacobs in the 3rd, and you can just build out your team so easily. Like I've done it several times here. Or if like, and the bad part about taking Saquon is he's so good, but you're never getting Jalen Hurts, you're never geting AJ Brown, the big trifecta stack. So it's just
okay. So we got 101. I was hoping we'd get 101, and here you can see if we were in the 102, Josh Allen wouldn't show up as the top guy. What I had a comment on YouTube, someone asking, well, if someone takes Josh Allen in the 101 and you're in the 102, you're now in the same spot. Like, are you saying you should just take a quarterback there? I don't play it like that. Part of the reason is that when it comes back around and I'm in the 2nd round, if there's a quarterback left, now there might not be, but if there is, I now get a little extra value because I'm going to go ahead and trust that the person who took Josh Allen 101 isn't going to take Pat Mahomes with their 2nd or 3rd pick. So I'm now going to get to my pick of the skill position players left, knowing that I'll get Mahomes or Goff or whatever. It's probably Mahomes, but I'm going to get that quarterback in the 3rd round, eke out that little extra value. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm okay going ahead and building some of those structures that we talked about that aren't like my favorite way to play it, but I think it's worth taking the risk a little bit. But when you're in the 101, like I don't want 1/6 of my teams to be built in this, like I went Lions and then I bet on a different NFC team instead. I want like a smaller percentage, which will be the percent that I'm in the 102 and someone else takes the Allen in the 101, which by ADP, he's not the 101. It's Saquon Barkley right now. I think maybe we revisit that if Allen becomes like the clear-cut 101, but for now, that's not the case.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say about being in the 2 spot and having the 1 spot take Josh Allen is I've done enough of these drafts now to just know that the rooms typically, the meta changes. When Josh Allen goes 101, like if you've done a bunch of these drafts, I would say go and look at what the rest of the room does after Josh Allen gets taken 101. Because typically what happens is the running backs go, or like it's going to get back to you at Josh Allen and you're praying that there's 1 running back left. Usually people don't go quite as quarterback heavy. Of course, as I'm saying that, this room
is the exact
totally goes the opposite way. I do think what part of it is, though, is it's like a psychological effect where if someone doesn't take Josh Allen 101, usually he goes like 103 or sometimes like he doesn't really go 104 that much anymore, but like 103 usually he'll go off the board. And then for the guys that are behind the 4, 5, and 6 spot, they kind of realize like, oh, I need to take a quarterback. And so then you get 3 draft spots that will take a quarterback as one of their next 2 picks, and then the guy in the 3 spot has already taken a quarterback, and then it's a very easy, the 2 hole has a really easy decision where they're like, oh man, there's only one quarterback left that I want. I'm going to take him. So it like sets up this psychological thing where there's going to be a run. Here, where you ended up with Mahomes going second, it is kind of an interesting spot for the 3 hole because it's a pretty easy game for. It's just the fewer quarterbacks that are remaining, the easier it becomes for all of your opponents to recognize that they really need to hammer quarterback here to get out while the getting's good. But here we get an incredible spot.
I just want to highlight we got a Saquon Barkley, David Montgomery team, and a Patrick Mahomes, Derrick Henry. The getting is good, so the water is still warm.
Yeah, is this big enough where you can actually see what's happening here?
Yeah.
James Cook is an obvious pick.
Yeah.
It's an obvious pick here. We're definitely going James Cook. What do you guys think for the next pick?
I really like getting Jamison Williams here to play for the Lions. The other one you can do is Devonta Smith because the Eagles are also pretty strong odds, and then you're not having to deal with.
One thing is, do we want to play this like the Bills are getting the bye? Because this is one of the new features we rolled out. You can toggle this so we play the Chiefs are getting the bye or the Bills are getting the bye.
Let's play Bills. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Do you want to go
I
Jameson
think you should take
or Devonta?
I think you should take Jacobs, man.
Jacobs is also good. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go Jacobs.
Jacobs is good for the bye.
The other, the other nice thing, the thing about Jacobs that's underrated is the optionality that Jacobs gives you is extreme. That's actually part of why he comes up so high in the rankings there, because you'll notice that his playoff odds, his odds of making the NFC Conference Championship game were much lower than Detroit and Philly there. But the thing Josh Jacobs has going for them is all of his teammates are still undrafted, and he has a lot of viable teammates that you can take. Like the punt options on the Packers are Tucker Kraft is basically available in every draft, and the Tucker Kraft equivalent on, say, like the Chiefs or the Bills is like you're taking Juju Smith-Schuster or you're taking Curtis Samuel, and Tucker Kraft is right. Yeah, Tucker Kraft is certainly more attractive than those. So the nice thing about this is that you really can kind of sit on your hands now and know that your bye week wide receivers, you probably can guarantee to get at least one from the Packers and feel pretty good about it. So I'm actually thinking that we might even want to lower Jaden Reed in the rankings a little bit, just because.
I think so too.
Just because all the other Packers receivers are so free.
Right.
It's less about him and more about that.
Shakir is a smash here, I think.
Yeah,
and then probably Cooper is also a smash.
Then we.
I think you pump the brakes on Buffalo a little bit here
because we are playing for the bye and
there's a bunch of Buffalo remaining. Yeah,
that's a good call. So the reason there is that we've got in order to get out of round one, it would be nice to have a full lineup, which is 5 players, and if you get past 5 Bills, then you're not going to have.
And you're at 3 right now. You only have room for 2 more bye week players, and we technically could.
One move would be to take Love, frankly, and get that taken care of.
We could go Reed and just.
Reed would be good. That protects us a little bit.
I think. I mean, if Goddard was a better Philly player,
I would take Amari. Honestly, you're going to get plenty of Green Bay players later. You're going to get Dobbs, Kraft, all these other guys.
Yeah.
Get the star wide receiver they traded for. Hope for the best.
And that still gives us 1 extra spot. We still have 1 remaining spot for Bill.
Yeah, I would basically not take a Bill then until like our last pick, and I would include Tim Patrick in that mix as well, even though he is a Lion, but because the Lions have the most favorable conference championship odds with Green Bay here, they're at 33%.
I like that.
And so now we're basically playing to advance. So I actually was going to propose George Pickens there, even though it would be a little bit early, just because it gives us another quarterback out, and it is a pretty strong. It's a strong fantasy player, and it's a player with high conference championship probability. And if we really wanted to, we could have even done like a George Pickens plus Najee and really been strong in the first round. Then your first round lineup is something like Josh Jacobs, George Pickens, Najee, and then we've insulated ourselves from, if you lose Jordan Love, then what do you do? It's like, then I have Russell Wilson. So
I think there's another option. We're a pick away, so I don't want to tip our hand yet, but I think there's
Well, we're not streaming live, so
okay. I think Terry and we go Terry Jaden.
I think Terry Jaden makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
You could even take naked Jaden, honestly, with your team if you want to continue to build out Green Bay as well. If you're just looking for that round 1 bye guy, you know what I mean?
We can
as well.
But we don't have 2 NFC teams, so
yeah. With what Zach said with Green Bay, there are so many just insert random, not even just wide receiver with Tucker Kraft being viable as well, that it doesn't limit us. And Buffalo, Green Bay as the Super Bowl still alive will have the Allen mega onslaught. So
and we'll probably. I would assume we end with 5 Buffalo players here instead. That way, we're live in Buffalo, Detroit. We're live in we're live in Buffalo, Philly. Then, so we use our NFC teams as added juice if those end up in the Super Bowl. But this is actually a Bills bet. This is Bills make the Super Bowl and I don't care. And
Bills. This is very much a bet on the Bills to get the bye. Because if the Bills don't get the bye, this team's not going to have enough firepower, but it's going to be harder to get teams through round 1 if the Bills get the bye. So this is a bet that we've found the way to sneak 5 Bills through round 1 who aren't going to score any points in that round. And then in that case, it might be enough to just show up with – frankly, it's not like we show up with Josh Allen and some random Bills. We have the Bills. We've got Josh Cook, Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, and Allen. Anything jumping out is ways to play this? I like is actually kind of interesting.
Brian. Brian went.
He just went.
Yeah, that's my bet. I took him.
Why are you doing this?
Chris is actually making good content here because Brian Robinson would have been too easy. So now we have to make a more difficult choice. Great. So props, Chris. I like Dobbs here as an option. I
think you just go Dobbs, Ladd, McConkey, and then we round it out.
Yeah, Ladd's pretty good. Ladd's a good.
He's just too cheap. He shouldn't be here.
Yeah, he shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Or do we think Ladd, Dobbins, and then just take a Green Bay receiver later?
I'm pretty concerned Dobbins will not be active.
Okay, that's a good shout.
I think we go Dobbs or Kraft.
Because, Dobbs is my pick here.
Kraft has so many touchdowns, man. Oh, I love him.
Isn't it crazy?
As someone starting Tucker Kraft against a Jahmyr Gibbs juggernaut, getting that Tucker Kraft touchdown on Thursday night was all that we needed to just keep pace.
How painful was it watching Josh Jacobs plunge in 3 times with all your pass catchers from Green Bay? Just painful. I don't have a lot of them, obviously.
Yeah, I have a Thursday night class, and my philosophy professor was asking why I kept reacting poorly to the lecture. But
this is one thing with the sidekick where technically, right, we've built out Super Bowls that make sense. But to Zach's point, are they Super Bowls that you actually want to bet on? Do you want to? This roster is currently dependent on the Bills making it to the Super Bowl and facing the Commanders or Packers in order to have 5 roster spots filled. That's not the bet. Normally, that'll be pretty consistent with what you're doing, and certainly it's nice to have. But in this particular build, with the way we did it, we're very much playing for the Bills to get the bye. I like having the potential to, especially whoever gets the bye in the NFC. I want that out too. I want it to be really hard to advance the actual teams that make the Super Bowl, and I still show up and I have 5 live players for that game. So I think adding that 5th bill is pretty important here. They actually are at the top of the sidekick now, but over a guy like Tucker Kraft would have been my preference with the last pick. Do you guys have a preference between the 2? Or Dawson Knox would also be in the mix, I guess.
I'm for the kind of Matt Collins build.
Me too.
Yeah,
I like Matt Collins or Dawson Knox. I pass on Samuel all the time, which is probably a leak in my game, but he's not fun to watch. So,
but these are some of the points where you and this is where the sidekick is so great that it will help randomize it because you don't want.
Yeah, it is. Curtis Samuel's at the top.
You don't want 80 or 90% of A1 guy. I think we can just trust the sidekick here. We have the randomization built in so that X% of the time You'll get Samuel recommended Y
Look how
percent of
sad
the
Zach is
time.
right now.
No, Daniel's right. So it's like I just love Mac Hollins. He's definitely my highest owned punt bill.
We're just in the math.
But yeah, no, Daniel is right that we do want to have some Curtis Samuel. Just like last year, people would have been like, "Oh, I don't want Jawan Jennings. Like that's, Jawan Jennings, gross. I'd way rather take Kyle Juszczyk or
Yeah.
So I think that it is good to make sure that you are diversifying those punts there.
Yeah, the point of this game isn't to say I have extremely more confidence in the market that I know the correct punt play on each team. It's to sort of narrow down the field of punt plays and say I will randomize this at certain proportions so that I won't be shit out of luck if I'm just slightly wrong on the punt play. Like imagine if you nail how good the Niners are. Like it's going to be Niners Chiefs. I feel it in my bones. And Kyle Juszczyk is the 9th and 10th round priority. And then you just lose because you don't have Jawan Jennings. The point of the game isn't to allow yourself to lose on picking the wrong punt play. You can cover that base easily just through building a
diversification
proper in your portfolio.
That's a really good point.
Let's review this team. I got us in another one here, but let's just see if anything jumps out from these builds. This is an interesting one here. The one next to us, Patrick Mahomes, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco. That's all logical. I mean, Henry falling back all the way, I would have taken him as well. Justin Jefferson, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, T.J. Hawkinson. So he's building out this Vikings, Chiefs. He's got the Ravens mixed in. Gets Sam Darnold, gets Noah Gray. Tax on Bijan. Thoughts on that move as an advance rate piece?
Sorry, I realized I was muted there. Yeah, I mean, can we scroll up again on his team?
He had it open. It's a fourth.
Oh, no, I never do it. I never do it here. Because he has Derrick Henry already, and did he take a second quarterback for the Mahomes? He did, right?
Yeah, he's got Arnold covered. So he's
playing it like Pacheco has the bye. Yeah, I don't love throwing in Bijan there, who's basically a coin flip to even make the playoffs at all. And
maybe take Cam Akers there or something like that. Kind of deep, but builds with his team with Hawk, JJ, Darnold. I mean,
I would say you take Noah Gray, but he already got him.
Yeah, I think in this spot you just roll with Derrick Henry as your week 1 running back, and that's the way it's got to be for that team to advance.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of getting Derrick Henry to fall to you there is that you can kind of play it that way. All right, so Allen goes 101. The meta is shifting.
And so now we have a guy who didn't take a quarterback behind us. So yeah, now we get to do Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
If
he went quarterback, would you want to go quarterback, or would you be still thinking Barkley?
I think if he goes quarterback, you start to get forced into a spot where it's just so much safer to go quarterback. With the 2 off the board, and it'd probably be close on the sidekick, because you know what? If he does go quarterback there, then you probably just take Jalen Hurts, and you're really hoping for Saquon Barkley magically makes it back to you. He probably doesn't, right?
He will not.
But you're hopeful.
No way.
Well, and then
I know him playing the Panthers this week shouldn't matter, but it does.
But if he doesn't make it back to you, then
it.
AJ Brown likely makes it back to you, because all 5 quarterbacks will go, 2 are gone. So then 3 of the next 6 picks are quarterback. You're saying that Saquon Barkley is another quarterback, so then that's only 2 picks that could even be AJ Brown, and there shouldn't really be anyone where AJ Brown is the best pick for them because you have Jalen Hurts. And they have better. The only person where AJ Brown would be the best pick for them is probably Pat Mahomes, but then that guy is risking that he doesn't get Isaiah Pacheco. So
right.
There's not a spot where someone could like game theory it to force the thing they need back around the board. So like taking Hurts there kind of ensures that your floor outcome is Hurts AJ Brown.
Speaking of floor outcome, we have 1 quarterback left on the board.
Yep.
This guy doesn't have a quarterback. We take Mahomes here.
Yeah, we kind of have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then hope we get
the risk on move would be to grab James Cook, which is a pretty sick pick.
or
But
Montgomery.
the problem is,
Oh, I wouldn't take
Or
James Cook
Montgomery.
here hardly ever.
Yeah.
yeah,
Montgomery.
you're sort of boxed out from the Super Bowl. You're building. A
You're
Super Bowl
guaranteeing
quarterback.
that one of your 2 first-round picks won't go to the Super Bowl then.
Right.
Because you have Amon-Ra, James Cook, and both
Right.
quarterbacks are gone.
Right.
Because now you've set yourself up. You're win-win. You get either Montgomery or Pacheco back, and you do need one of them. Otherwise, you're going to be like doing a Kareem Hunt Super Bowl type spot, which isn't super fun.
Well, there
Carson
goes Pacheco.
Steele.
Pacheco
What if
goes-
Carson
There goes
Steele?
Montgomery.
Montgomery goes. So the one hole is bad.
That's
So we go.
Oh
Jameson?
no! The 2 hole was bad. The guy who got himself boxed out of quarterback was quite bad.
Do we want to go Jameson?
Yeah,
Play
you're
through
just
Hunt?
playing. Yeah, you're playing for Lions. You're playing for the Lions to make the Super Bowl, and because it's Lions, it's hard to get 5 players there. Okay, you know what you actually do here? You play this like Chiefs get the bye. I know this sounds
Right.
weird, but bear with me. If the Chiefs don't get the bye, and the Lions do get the bye, and that's the Super Bowl, you've lost. Because there are other teams that exist in this tournament that have the same players you have with either Pacheco or Montgomery, and some lucky guy somewhere might even have it with Gibbs. He might have Gibbs,
Mhm.
Mahomes. Actually, probably no one has it with Gibbs and Amon-Ra. But you get what I'm saying. You're behind the 8 ball bigly if that Super Bowl happens.
There's lots of better comp. There's lots of teams that have the better
So
version.
what you need is this combo to be almost impossible to get to the Super Bowl in the first place. And the way we artificially make that happen is we say the Chiefs get the bye. And because of that, now we're playing 2 bye teams. It's really hard to get that through to the Super Bowl. Just having 5 players almost ensures us a top 20 finish,
Right,
So-
right. So here on the sidekick, you see I changed it on your suggestion to go to the Chiefs, 42% to get the bye. The big difference here is that with the Buffalo, with the Bills getting the bye, we don't see Love. When we change it to the Chiefs, we do see Love. And right now, because we need a running back, and we only have 2 lines receivers, not a ton else is changing, but as you go through, it'll be kind of keeping track of, do you have enough players for round 1? If the Chiefs don't get the bye, then yeah. But if they do, then that obviously shifts things.
Is this
Jacobs seems pretty good.
Yeah, Jacobs read.
Yep.
That's great.
Kind of cool. If we're playing
Yeah,
the Chiefs get the bye, we need the round 1 points at the flex, and we're just gonna.
Yeah, we could also do Jefferson if we want to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Both
we
of
could-
these options are viable. You can do it Green Bay or Minnesota, and it's just pick your poison here, whichever you prefer. They're similar. Green Bay's technically a little better, so I lean Green Bay more often than not. But
Yeah, I lean Green Bay too. Also, just because we don't have a running back, and we don't have a running back for we're gonna end up with Hunt.
right.
Yep.
So we need the Packers to make a run and then lose to the Lions in the NFC Championship game, and then we show up to the Super Bowl with Hunt.
No thought to
So
the
Reed
Carson.
goes.
Oh.
I think we do Love.
Yeah, take Love.
Yeah,
We got burned last
So-
time, so let's take
yeah.
him out.
It's no fun to get burned. And again, we need to cover the bye.
I will say there's some interesting combos too. Like we were talking about Saquon going in 3rd overall. If that happens, sometimes the AJ Brown drafter will take Lamar, and you can actually get a Jalen Hurts fall. I've never seen it where you take Jalen first and Saquon comes back, but I've seen very rarely, 5% of the time, that happens. So there's some unique combos out there of a Jalen Saquon team. I've seen that. So just a heads up for everyone looking for that. It's possible.
Now, why you said the 1 was bad? Why is this bad? You Allen, Montgomery, Cook, Collins.
I think he misspoke.
Oh, yeah,
I think he
the
missed
The 2 was bad.
Okay.
What are you doing here as the 2? Your first 3 picks all don't play in the Super Bowl.
I mean, Zach,
Right.
anytime you can
And
take
he also has
4
3 NFC
NFC
teams as well
teams.
now.
anytime you can spend 3 picks on different NFC teams in your first 5, you kind of have to.
You do have to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
This would be an example of a team that's pretty well set up for everything until you get to the Super Bowl, but maybe one of those teams that's going to smash to get to the Super Bowl, but then you flip over the cards and like you either don't have a quarterback, or you've got like one piece left. You got a Packer or a Viking. We'll see how deep he goes on those builds, but if you're playing in a tournament like this is a pretty big tournament in the final. There's like hundreds of teams in the final, so you're going to be you're not going to win it if you show up without a quarterback. Let's see. Final size on this.
The last round's
375.
375. Yeah.
Now there are some circumstances. These tournaments are not them, but when you get a 1 of 6 out of the first round advanced structure, those are actually tournaments where technically you could win without a quarterback. They're quite hard. It requires it being both 1-seed teams and weird things happening during the playoffs to where it's very, very difficult to advance those teams. But those are ones where you could potentially win it. George Pickens is like the literal best pick here by a country mile.
Yeah. Is it then Najee for you if he were to fall on the way back and then insert Packer receiver after?
It's not Packer receiver after, it's Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is extremely important to this team. We might even
close your eyes. Can't you picture Andy Reid? He has 2 weeks off before the Super Bowl. He is drawing up the most ludicrous shovel pass to Carson Steele on earth.
Do we want to go Hollywood here? Najee went. We have 2 spots left for buys.
Yeah, we probably go Hollywood, and
Not
then
Hunt?
You got to take Kareem Hunt on the way back.
God, it depends on how scared
Do
we
you
are.
want to just go Hunt?
I think we go Hunt.
I think you should go Holly.
Team's dead without Hunt.
Team's dead without Hunt.
It's a wrist tolerance thing.
I don't see the
guy
point.
The guy in 2 spot is not going to take a K. He's the only guy taking KC players, so it doesn't really matter. They're both going to come back, I think.
Yeah, we were before that 2 spot, so it should
it's just the whole thing that we built.
No, you're right.
Chiefs get the bye and go to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
I really like Team 6's build, but he just doesn't have any running backs, so I feel like it's dead.
I like it even more.
Can you show that, Pat? What do you think about this guy? It's a really good team, good construction, but he doesn't have a running back. He's looking at what, Ray Davis?
You got to get Gainwell here. You got to get Gainwell.
Yeah.
And then you need an advance rate running back. Who's left?
Brian Robinson.
Yeah, Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. Yeah, the problem with Dobbins and why I have really not been drafting him right now is his price won't increase if good news comes out, right? The Chargers just can't really see their price increase a ton. It could increase a little, but not a lot. And Dobbins' first week eligible back from the bye is what, week 18?
Week 17. It's 17.
He is eligible in 17?
Yeah. My FFPC team made the decision knowing 17 to still cut him.
Got it.
But we don't think he'll be back to a full workload then. So it's really a gamble.
Hollywood's so good here.
Of course.
Yeah. It's pushing us towards advanced rate stuff, but I think we go Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because we know it's saying dude, you need one of these Packers receivers. And we do. We just know one of them's going to be there. There's 4 of them here. We can get one.
Right. There goes Watson.
Yeah,
but we're feeling all right there.
So good. Yeah, super good.
Romeo?
Or Farthal Romeo. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do Romeo.
Man, the Jalen Warren 10th round pick, you can take some things you just can't take out of the man.
And so now we cannot take another Chief because the Chiefs are on bye, and so that's why they've all disappeared from the sidekick.
Right.
We also can't take another
If we change it to where Buffalo gets the bye, then
now we see Noah Gray, Juju.
Yeah.
Now
you could do this. You could use this feature to force less than, it would be possible to advance a team with only 4. Right, we got the running back covered, the quarterback covered. We don't have a flex.
I think you can get fancy like that if you're a sweat lord and you're paying attention to your room and you're like, this guy has no running backs. He's kind of up a creek to advance round 1. This guy probably has a quarterback on bye and no other quarterback. this guy took 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, and doesn't have a starting wide receiver. What the hell is going on? So, like, if you see really weak teams for round 1 in your room and you want to get a little fancy with it, that is a spot where you could squeeze out some extra value, trying to thread the needle. I personally would not like be saying, oh, I'm just going to only have 4 round 1 players, then it's fine. I think it's a little too fancy.
Yeah. Do we want to go Kraft here?
Kraft or Warren, I think both are fine.
I'm
Jalen
Kraft.
Warren is a good pick, huh? Okay, I'm listening. You're Kraft. Daniel, where are you at?
The bid equity demands Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I agree.
we're weak at running. We're weak at running back too. Is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, we just have Josh Jacobs, so
and we have Pickens. Like And the Packers aren't making the Super Bowl. The
Lions
are,
which is why it's why we had to switch the Chiefs to bye, because of our specific combo. It was going to be too weak if the Chiefs don't have a bye. We needed 2 bye week teams to get there. That was a really cool scenario. I actually haven't gotten into that spot where you're like, shit, this team's too weak. But I've had people ask about that. Like, what do you do when like you're just going to have a worse version of all the other teams? It's like, there is actually a lever you can still pull, and you can just say the road to get there is way harder than everyone thought, and I built for it.
Yeah, Zach, that was something that I'm not sure how long it would have taken for that to occur to me. So just brilliant that you were just like, oh, well, if we're going to be Chiefs and Lions and be like 10th or 15th percentile of Chiefs Lions teams, maybe in what worlds are the 10th to 15th percentile of drafted Chiefs Lions teams actually live to make it? Well, it's in the world where there's the bye, and that so many of those uber Chiefs Lions concentrate teams are just wiped out through ineligible players. So trying to think through those levers is just something I commend you for greatly.
Thank you.
It's really sharp, man. Yeah, really
things
sharp.
are in my head.
So we're out of the 2-hole this time. It's been a fun mix of draft spots, all early, but it's nice that we haven't repeated. Getting that 101 right out of the gate was fun.
The 101 feels really nice.
So 102, you now are going to get one of the quarterbacks. There's 5 quarterbacks, 5 guys without a quarterback now. So I like taking Amon-Ra here. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm into Amon-Ra. I'm also into Josh Allen because this is a spot where you have a good chance of getting a Lion with Josh Allen.
Okay. I'd be down to try that. I haven't done a ton of Josh Allen in the 102.
Yeah, I just
little Demont action here.
Right. That's because what I'm thinking is because I went back and looked at my Josh Allen teams, and hardly any of them have Lions, and if they do, excuse me, if they do, it's like Jamison Williams or Sam Laporta. And so if you're picture this, you're in the Super Bowl, it's Lions Bills, the 2 teams of destiny, and you're showing up with Josh Allen, David Montgomery, and James Cook. And those are your first 3 play. Like, do the receivers even matter? Like, you just need 2 dudes who catch a pass, and you're probably getting like David Montgomery falls in the end zone 3 times. James Cook has a
Elite Raymond finally pays off for us.
Exactly. So those feel pretty cool.
I think also if you're presented with the opportunity between Dave Montgomery and James Cook, you should just slam David Montgomery every time and hope that the 101 guy, he passes on Cook. And even if he does, for some reason, spike pick him for whatever reason, just take Josh Jacobs in the 3rd. I mean, like, then you got your running back covered for the Super Bowl. You got Josh Allen leading the way with a bunch of rushing TDs in the Super Bowl. And then you get his pass catch back up, and you're good to go. Kind of like the team makes itself. Pretty much.
It does depend on what the 101 took, because if he took Saquon and you think he's the lights are on, someone's home, then he might not want to take David Montgomery with Saquon.
I have yet to see that. I
did see that once.
Yeah, so we're looking at James Cook here.
Yeah, we got it
pretty clearly. Yeah.
So we didn't get Demont to come back, which is a damn shame.
We could maybe get JMO.
Yeah, we could do JMO. We also could do Devonta.
JJ. Could do JJ.
Yeah, with Devonta.
I don't.
Devonta's fun too.
Well, you wanted to get some Lions. We could. I know it's not.
Yeah, I'm good with JMO. I prefer doing either JMO or Devonta here. I wouldn't do Jacobs or JJ yet because they both will fall. They'll both. You can see
I think
that.
JMO.
How are you guys playing this team? If is the Bills getting the bye, or are they missing out on it?
I like both of these being the bye because now it frees us up to be like, I'm not clicking any more Bills or Lions until like my last 2 picks and just saying it's hard to get there. Because the thing that I think the trap that a lot of people fall into when they build teams like this, even good drafters will be like, I have to stop at 5. I can't take more than 5 bye week players. But they jam all 5 of these bye week players in early. And so then you're left scrambling at the end and you're really, really thin to advance because you're missing out on some of the best advance rate players too. So here we have a beautiful spot where, like, look at all the stuff that can come back to us. We've got 4 picks left. Josh Jacobs is great for us here. George Pickens is great for us here. Aaron Jones is great for us here. I mean, shit, even Isaiah Pacheco is great for us here because he's guaranteed to not have the bye if the Bills do have the bye, right? And so we had incredible picks there where they either all have really strong projection on the individual player level or they have really strong conference championship odds or both. And so it's like, man, those, we're just in such a good spot here with all these players. The other, like, Nico Collins and Joe Mixon too.
I was gonna float that. Never mind. Spoke too soon.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Oh,
Jefferson goes.
Pickens dagger. So it's got to be Aaron Jones here.
Yep.
Yeah, we could.
And so this is where we're knowing better than the sidekick because the sidekick is like a good drafter where it's like, dude, Khalil Shakir, the wide receiver 1 on the Bills, and you're playing for a Bills Super Bowl. We're like, yeah, we know sidekick, but we can only take 2 more Bills, and there's a lot of Bills left. Like, dude, look at the top of our board: Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman. Like, we'll have our pick.
I think we do take him here, though, right?
Yeah, because there's the other thing you can do is you can do Joe Mixon here, and then you're really strong round 1. Or if you don't care to take Joe Mixon here and you want to do Shakir. The other thing that I really like is on the way back, we just begin setting up the way too early Washington stack. We're just like, whatever. Terry McLaurin, Jay Daniels.
Yeah. And this is a team where you're fine going 3 NFC then, just because you're making such a strong AFC bet that you're going to advance and just like give me 1 usable Super Bowl NFC score.
Thank you. I did forget that we had taken Aaron Jones. So that's a little grosser than I'm probably more into like doing.
Oh, right.
Addison and Hawkinson, right?
Yeah, we're gonna want minimum 1 of those guys, and then this might be like a Chargers team. Oh, actually, do you know what this is?
Bo Nix.
It's a Bo Nix team, baby.
Yeah, it's the Bo Nix team.
It's Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton. Those are our last 2. And so then we just need a receiver and a flex.
So we
You guys don't like Najee at all? If he makes it back, he won't. But if Najee,
the problem with taking Najee is that we box ourselves out of other good advance rate picks because we have Najee. Then we're forced to we must take Addison and Hawkinson. We have to do those to stay within structure. So the reason I like doing, well, I guess if we take Knicks, we're also kind of boxing ourselves into that as well. Yeah, the really painful thing is Pickens. If Pickens hadn't gone right before us, we're in a much better spot.
What about Hawk here?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Addison went, so we're starting to get a little scary. So I think we got to do Hawk here.
That's a good call, and I think this guy's not taking Bills at all at the 1, which is kind of nice. So
we may actually be in a spot where we break our rules and take a 5th team and take a 1-off running back to advance. Like Brian Robinson here might actually just be pretty good. We go Brian Robinson here, and then we go Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. And the reason we go Brian Robinson is because you lose the least from losing a single one-off running back when you already have two. For as far as like your roster combinatorics, like how many different starting lineup combinations you can field, you're least harmed by
Now,
losing a running back here.
I think this is Amari.
I think this is Amari too.
How are we advancing? Like, who are we taking?
Darnold.
flex piece?
Darnold's live as a QB. Oh, flex.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flex is the thing I'm worried about. I mean, we can do Amari. It's fine. Because I guess if we're gonna break the rules anyway, it does open us up a little bit more.
Right. We're already. I mean, we could do like one of these NFC running backs.
You're basically hoping for those 4 Bills players and Jameson Williams in the Super Bowl, right? That's what
Right.
you're
Yeah.
hoping for.
Yeah.
Or a Bills
Yeah.
Vikings. This team is incredibly
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, Bills Vikings are real set up for that.
I think Darnold's probably the better 2 QB option right now than Knicks, just because we've made the
Yes.
Vikings bed
I agree.
so strongly that hopefully we get to lay in it. But the Knicks Sutton is a pretty tasty backup.
Where's the JJ team at? He's at the 1 or the 3? Where's he at? I don't know. He's the 4.
He's in the middle.
4.
And no
Yeah.
QB
He's-
yet.
He's gonna take
And
Darnold.
he's gonna-
He should
No, he's
take
gonna go
Darnold.
Stroud potentially because he has Nico and Dell and Mixon. That's a fun team, depending on what he does. Like
Yeah, he's Texans and Lions. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool.
it's a
So
decent
he's the guy who
bailout.
got boxed out. It's always interesting to see the guy who gets boxed out. Like, what do you do?
now
this
we've been
move.
complimenting him. Okay, he did take Stroud. I was expecting like a stray Bo Nix there to just make us our read on him be completely off.
No, I think he played that well.
I agree.
And I guess the one team is playing that the Kansas City doesn't have a bye. So okay. Yeah, Darnold's the way to go.
Yeah,
I think so,
Darnold's
too.
fine. The other thing we could think about is if we want to do McConkey, because if we're not going to do Bo Nix, there's no real reason to do Cortland Sutton.
Do we go lad first and hope we have a rational drafter on that side, or just?
Well, yeah, because we have Justin Herbert as well, right?
Good
so
shout.
you're
Yeah.
totally safe.
It's good. Good idea.
The spooky thing is like, boy, would we love J.K. Dobbins for our week 1 lineup, but like also, boy, J.K. Dobbins might not be active in round 1 of the playoffs. So, oh man, because this really feels like a no risk it, no biscuit kind of spot. 'Cause like, what are you gonna do? You gonna draft Quentin Johnston instead of J.K. I mean, I guess maybe.
Yeah, I think I'd probably take J.K. Dobbins. Just hope he plays week 1, so I have 2 bye week spots. I mean,
You're
2
you're
spots.
quite strong. If he plays week 1, your week 1 lineup is Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, T.J. Hawkinson, Lad McConkey. Like, that seems pretty good.
So are we Dobbins here, then wait on QB because we got 2 live options, or do we take the preference?
Yeah, if,
I'd be
if
open
we're
to
gonna
that.
click Dobbins, if we're gonna click Dobbins, we can wait on QB. I think.
Yeah. Yep.
I think this Stroud guy might take Darnold. It's like kind of a
I do
double
too.
out.
But
Yeah,
who's
so
taking Herbert?
That's the question. Is someone going to take Herbert?
I mean,
Yeah,
we have the
Hurts and Lamar.
only people that get drafted with Herbert, really. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think we'll be okay. But that's the
Yeah, I really
That's
think
the
Team
question.
4 will take Darnold for sure.
this is
But
this
I
is the
would.
crazy
I think it's a good
thing.
pick for him.
Yes.
This is the crazy thing with the Bills, though. A lot of times, no one will touch the Bills, who are one of the highest Super Bowl probability teams in the AFC. But like, look where we got Khalil Shakir. We got him in the 5th round. We got Amari Cooper in the 7th round. And like, this happens in drafts often. I'm sitting there looking at stuff, and I already have 2 AFC teams. I'm like, what are the Bills? The whole Bills team is here. What's that?
It's so
Yeah, I
crazy
like that we pushed
because
that,
it's so
but-
true.
I'm really glad we got back on it. Like Amari in the 7th and Shakir in the 5th. Like those are good picks, man. I'm happy to have them.
Or,
I'd
I
much
mean,
rather
we're
have those
quite
guys.
strong if we make the Super Bowl.
they should
Yeah.
basically write us the check now.
Well, you got to get through round 1. We need J.K. Dobbins out there. And let's see what these guys. I mean, Russell Wilson going as a third quarterback on Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Russell Wilson. That was surprising.
Whoa,
This guy takes Darnold
with Sutton. Damn.
Wow.
So we're not out of the woods here.
Yeah, we're out of the woods. This guy's
No,
not going to ruin his team.
we wouldn't have said that.
Team.
Well, guess what? We are out of the woods because our worst case scenario is we take Jaden Daniels as the 5th team, and that's probably better than Justin
Two picks
Herbert.
until we pick Zach. There's 2 picks.
Now
We don't know for sure. Okay,
Advanced
so
piece. Mike Evans.
this guy's reading the walkthrough. He saw Mike Evans is in a smash spot this week.
Beautiful.
All right, we got Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Perfect.
And we did this all within structure. Look at us. I mean, we were saying earlier, we're going to have to break the rules. We're going to be taking 5 teams. Not today.
No,
We just took a guy who might not play in the playoffs.
Oh,
I'm
What
more
if he's the
optimistic
guy
than
you
you are
need?
thinking about Dobbins. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
for this team, we really want Baltimore or Denver to win, or Baltimore to win as a 6th seed. So we won't have to have the Chargers and Buffalo play each other in the first round. I mean,
Right.
the divisional round.
Yeah, good call.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it up for now. Appreciate you guys jumping on with me. We'll be back soon doing some more playoff best ball stuff. It's just a lot of fun. I find this format very, very fun.
Those were such fun drafts.
Yeah, they really
Very
were.
fun.
And like I don't know. I do this stuff, and I'm like, wait, what? Should we do this? Should we do that? It's fun to think through all of these potential paths of the game tree. So yes, you have to convince yourself to like pass on Nico Collins for Dalton Kincaid, and that's not fun. But once you get past the player level stuff being demoted a little bit in favor of the team level stuff, it's very fun to think through the types of Super Bowl outcomes you're betting on. It's much closer to real football in that way. You're kind of thinking through the teams and who's going to win, which is
much
not
closer to
to
real football. 4 men drafting fantasy sports on their computers say.
All right, with that, I think we close this one out. If you guys are interested in checking out the Sidekick, there's details of that in the description. We got monthly, we got yearly options for you. The yearly covers, obviously, yearly is an overkill for playoff best ball, but the same tool works for traditional best ball as well. If you have the Sidekick for traditional best ball, hopping these playoff streets, it's included in your yearly subscription. But the monthly, we've got a full month of playoff best ball stuff ahead of us. So perfect time to sign up if you want to check that out. And then we got you covered with all sorts of other playoff best ball content here on the YouTube channel and various stuff over on legendaryupside.com. Until next time, have a good week 14. Good luck in your playoff best ball drafts, and we'll see you soon.